Hi everybody, welcome back to Spin a Good Yarn. My name is Sophie and this video is mostly talking about knitting and spinning, projects that I've been making. But today's kind of about a bit of a different topic, and I've thought about whether or not to post anything about this for a while. And I've decided I feel like it is my responsibility to share what my experience has been with a particular business. I've been making videos on YouTube for 11 years. And I have never made a video like this before. This is my first time feeling like I need to make this kind of content, and it's important to say that the information in this video is based on my own personal experience with this company and the experiences of others that I have found through publicly available sort of reviews or social media forums online. I can't speak to any intent on the business owner's behalf, but I do think it's important that anyone who's considering purchasing from this business is full-armed with this information. I really wish that I had been. So the company that I'm talking about is called Benridge Woolworks. It's a UK-based supplier of sort of wool goods and other such things. So if I open up their website, we'll be able to look at it together. So they advertise as providing a number of different aspects to spinners, needle felters, all sorts of things, gardening, peg loom rug making, just as an example, but I'll have that up on the screen as to what they're advertising themselves as providing. So I'm just going to talk about my journey with Benridge Woolworks, and it actually starts back on the 5th of September 2025, when I originally ordered the business just to make an inquiry really about their breed study box. That was what I was particularly interested in. I'd watched Knitting with Ev do her breed study, and I was really keen to start a breed study in 2026 to share with you all. So I'd reached out in September and I said, hello, I'm interested in your spinner box of fibre, but I've not yet ventured into fibre prep. Would it be possible to order this as scoured and carded? And Lucinda, who is I understand is the owner of Benridge Woolworks, or at minimum is the person who replied to my email from their publicly shared contact address, said, hi Sophie, yes, no problem. Carded samples are £3 each. Let me know if that's good for you. And this reply came back really fast. It was within a few minutes. I had a busy few weeks and then replied, and was also kind of thinking about whether I wanted to do it because it was quite a lot for each, but replied to say, hi Lucinda, I just noticed your email came back in. I'd love to pay for the spinner box of fibre as carded. How can I pay for this one? Thank you, my apologies for the long delay. This was buried in my inbox. So I'd sort of come back and just said, I'd like to go ahead. How do I purchase this? On the website, there wasn't a mechanic to enable me to purchase it directly on the website, so it made sense to reach back out. She'd replied again very quickly. This was actually on Christmas Eve, so I'd emailed at a few minutes to 8 in the morning, and sort of within 30 minutes she'd replied to say no problem at all. For carded breed study order, the sample pack ×3, which covers every processing stage, I'll staple them all together. Doing an hour a day to keep things ticking along over Christmas, and deliveries begin from the 27th, which was totally understandable. So I replied on Boxing Day, to say, hi Lucinda, thank you. Do you mean order 3 of the specific pack I'm interested in? Kind regards, just to clarify how I was to make this order. And she replied again on the same day on Boxing Day, really fast, again, under an hour, to say, hi Sophie, yes, that's correct. It actually works out at £1 each processing stage. So that was my initial contact. I was very pleased with the speed of response, particularly over the Christmas period, and had no concerns about there being that slight delay until the 27th that orders would be shipped out. And I also appreciated that this was a smaller business. So yeah, I was very happy with the service at that stage. So I made the order then on the 26th of December and had an email received, so sort of immediately following that conversation I'd had with Lucinda, and I had a receipt come back via the website that they utilise. I'm just having a look, so it's actually Squarespace the website's hosted on. I had an auto delivery confirmed for a value of £75, £8 shipping, so £83 I paid on that date. I think this is all very important to outline in what's happening when we get to the piece of this video that I want to share. So, appreciating it was over Christmas, no concerns. On the 13th of January at 6:50 in the morning, I received another email to say that my order had shipped. And again, that felt reasonable. I appreciate that it's Christmas and that people wanted to have a break, and was pleased to see that had come out. But there was no tracking information available in that email. I then had a prompt come through on the 27th to ask how my order had been. And received that through, again, I think as an automated email. It doesn't read as though it's one that was drafted, particularly because my name in that email is listed as Miss SEW, rather than my name, which was Sophie, which was, from that conversation that I'd had with Lucinda previously. So I emailed on the 27th, on the back of that email, the 27th of January, to say, good evening to Lucinda. I made an order back in December on the 26th and had a notification this was shipped on the 13th of January, but this is yet to arrive. Do you have any updates at all? The order number is provided. The order number. I had a reply back again fairly promptly the next morning, reasonable because I'd ordered in the evening. And she said, hi Sophie, thanks for your message. I'll look into it today and get back to you because it's either shipped or it's due out. So this is where I suppose my first stage of concern ought to have kicked in, and in retrospect, this is probably the first moment that something felt wrong, because a shipping notification had already been provided, but the seller was now informing me that the order had not in fact been shipped. So that didn't align with what I'd expected from the service. I received no further information at all from the 28th of January, and so on the 5th of February I emailed again to say, hi Lucinda, are you able to update please? I had a response back the following day, again quite early in the morning, to say, hi Sophie, the final 2 full range breed study sample packs to go out now, which is yours plus 1 more, are being finished today and we posted either tomorrow, or if we can finish the last few breeds by 11:30 or by Monday at the latest. Very close to finishing now. So I would say my experience had been that they'd had a really speedy initial conversation about the ordering process, and I was getting concerned, but the provider was still being responsive at this point of time. I replied on the 10th, so I replied on that Monday because that was Monday at the latest, Monday of February, to say, thank you, that's really helpful. Has this now been posted out? Because that was the provided date. Since that date, since that email that I received from Lucinda on the 6th of February, I received no further communications from the company. I reached out again at the end of February. So on the 24th of February, I emailed to say, hi Lucinda, I've yet to receive this package. Could you please confirm if this has been shipped? Or as an alternative, could I be refunded the full value by the 26th of February? This is 60 days since the order was placed and there's no shipping confirmation provided. I was feeling really worried at this point that I wasn't going to get my order and I wasn't going to get my money back. And I knew that I had the right to request a refund if I hadn't received an order. So I sent that email out, and again, absolutely nothing came back. I then reached out again on the 4th of March 2026 to say, good evening Lucinda, can I please have an update? Kind regards, Sophie. And again, as I've already said, I've had absolutely no communication from the seller since this point. So all of this is factual, all of this is screenshotted and you've been able to see what has happened. I've attempted to contact the business multiple times and I've now got to a place where I feel I have no choice but to request a chargeback via my bank. And I have also had to raise this concern through trading standards because of the fact I've been unable to get a response from the individual. I felt really disappointed by this. It was a quite substantial amount of money that I had paid to this provider for a service. It was something that I had intended to order to demonstrate the value of this brand to a wider group of customers. So it felt like a real shame for that to have happened. And as much as I felt disappointed and frustrated with the experience that I'd had, it wasn't something I shared with you all. And that was partly because I thought, well, maybe I'm the only one. So I think where this video gets interesting is really looking at other people's reviews. When I looked into it further, there were lots of other pieces of information from other customers that would have alerted me to this kind of experience before I'd order. So the first thing that I would sort of highlight, and the first thing I found, was actually their Trustpilot. So they've received 26 reviews and have an average of 2.1 stars. I will just take a couple of those, pull those out and read them to you, but please feel free, go on Trustpilot yourself. These are publicly available reviews for the site Benridge Woolworks, and you can read what others have said too. So a user called HHC wrote a review called Avoid at All Costs. The first order took a while to arrive, and when it did, the fleece was substandard. I was promised a refund and went ahead foolishly and ordered a replacement order. What a mistake. Twice out of pocket now. Over 4 weeks in and my messages are ignored, and if I asked about delivery on social media platforms, they simply deleted it. That's how important their customers are to them. My advice is not to use this awful company. They're running before they can walk and spend more time on socials than talking to talk. Cut this middleman company out and speak to farmers in your county to source your wool and support them directly, not this god-awful company. I'll be doing exactly this from now on. So that's just one example of somebody sharing their experience with the company, which sounds like a shame. There's another review here from a user called Deborah Cuthberton, who wrote a review in April. So this is also a recent review. And this review is titled, "I won't be using them again. I placed a small order with Benridge as a test run before committing to a larger purchase of several fleeces. Unfortunately, the whole experience was extremely disappointing. I waited months for my order to arrive. I had to chase repeatedly, and communication was slow and unhelpful throughout. When the parcel was finally sent, Royal Mail emailed me saying additional postage was required, something Benridge then paid, but only after another delay. I did eventually receive the fleece, but the overall experience was far too stressful and disappointing. Based on this, I won't be ordering from Benridge again." And I'll read just one more review from Trustpilot, but please do feel free. There are a number of reviews. There are a couple of them that are of a higher star rating, but the vast majority are a 1-star review. So the next one I have is by a user called Edwina Hodkinson. And this one was written again in 2026. These are all recent reviews. It's titled, "I ordered wool 6 weeks ago and still ... I ordered wool 6 weeks ago and still haven't received it. It seems the excuses offered by Lucinda are the same as those given to lots of people, stating problems with packing, etc., and then no replies. This is a scam company, and it's sad so much money is being extorted from people with a good heart who love wool." So I wish that I had had the opportunity to see those reviews before I had made my purchase, and I didn't. So I just wanted to share those with you here, so that you're aware of that also. And obviously these are not my words. These are publicly posted reviews. I then also took some time to have a look on social media and see if others are repeating, like the pattern was repeating, right? To see whether this is something that was a one-off or whether there is a case of multiple individuals sharing similar scenarios. And I did find that there were similar scenarios. So on Reddit, which is a social media platform, just for those of you who aren't familiar with it, in the r/hand spinning community, there is a post titled "Benridge Woolworks, a rant and an apology to you." And again, I want to just share this full post with you so that you have this context too. So this user is called Very Silly Sausage, and the text reads as follows. "I haven't been back to Reddit in some time. I got sick of the rage bait, algorithmically forced propaganda, and the enshittification. I'm also very much over anything being American for the rest of my life. When I was last here, I stuck up for Lucinda Bird at Benridge Woolworks. This was a huge mistake. She is a very dodgy woman. Do not risk your money with her. I apologise for saying she's just very busy and not very organised. She's actually a scammer now, not just overwhelmed. Actual scamming and blocking people for asking pertinent questions. She does seem to find plenty of time for plenty of Facebook posts every single day. Got to keep the scam money coming in, I suppose. A couple of days after Christmas, I ordered 2 mohair fleeces from her. After 5 months, countless emails and more runaround than I have ever experienced in my life, excuses and outright lies, she blocked me on Facebook when I asked where my fleeces were. I literally only rejoined Facebook to ask that question. I called my bank and how they recovered the money. I got an email from her website to say the refund had been done. No apology, nothing. Incidentally, she still has them as in stock and on sale. Please, no matter what, don't order from her. She will tell you it's in stock when it isn't, and she will cling onto your money like a fucking limpet. Avoid the disappointment and the extra work of endless emails and a chargeback. I doubt she will be in business for much longer, certainly not with the way she behaves. Back off to Mastodon now, take care peeps." Again, this is a publicly available post that I am just sharing for your information. There are a number of individuals in the comments who are reporting similar pieces, but if I'm really honest, I don't have time to go through each and every one of those with you, but I will link to this post in the comments. You're very welcome to read it. As I say, these are all publicly available reviews of this company. I also then took the opportunity to have a look on Facebook. And what I will say before I go into the specific Facebook post that I will be sharing is there was a large thread that was available on Wool Spinners UK Unite, which I'm a member of, which is no longer available. It was a train that had around 100 comments in it, but as that's not currently available, and it's not something that I can quote from or screenshot, I won't be talking about that specifically. I have reached out to the admin of the group to ask why that post and the subsequent comments have been removed, but I've yet to have an answer, so I can't talk about that in this video. But if I do receive an update, I'll put a pinned comment down below just to understand a bit more about what's happened with that particular train. But the ones that are publicly available, the ones that you can just find on Google, there's a few. So there's a group, Wool Spinners UK Unite. As I mentioned, that had a post from a user called Claire Foskett back in August 2025, which asked, can I just ask if anyone has ordered from Benridge Woolworks and has had problems? I've had an absolutely awful experience with them. The admin ended up needing to turn off the comments on this post, but there were a number of individuals who replied. So a user called Eleanor Scott, for example, said, I placed an order for 2 fleeces from them on the 21st of July, got a notification they'd been dispatched on the 1st of August. On 11th of August, I used their contact us form on their website to report non-receipt, to which I got notification reply. On the 15th of August, I got a rate your order email despite having not received anything. I emailed them directly on the 16th of August again and got no reply. On Wednesday, I messaged them via Messenger, to which I got the reply that they were out of stock of the items I ordered, so I requested a refund. I've got an email confirming the refund, but have yet to receive any money from them. I won't be a returning customer, which is their loss, as once I've sorted out the fleeces I already have, I'll probably be in the market for several more. Other groups also shared similar experiences. So a group called East Central Scotland Guild of Weavers, Spinners and Dyers had a post made in November 2025, the 11th of November 25, which is titled Problems with Benridge Woolworks Orders. I just wondered if anyone else was having difficulties with Benridge Woolworks. Order placed several weeks ago, not arrived and no response to emails. Feeling sad. And 25 weeks ago, again, I can't find this post. I can only imagine it's been removed. I have not yet had a response. But again, 25 weeks from this point, so back in November, a user called Eva Christie responded to that post to say, there's a post in Wool Spinners UK Unite about the exact same topic with 60 comments, mostly sharing the same experience. Alison Tobin replied to Eva Christie to say, thanks Eva, I'm sad to see so many people are having problems. I won't use them again. And then on another Facebook group called the Crescent Sheep Society, which is a specific breed of sheep, there was another post that I found from November 2025 from a user called Anna Louise Kelly. And this post says, has anyone used Benridge Woolworks? I sent some raw fleece for processing back into spun yarn in May. I have paid for the service and I have not yet received it or had a reply to my 3rd email. So looking at all of these reports taken together, there appears, based on these reviews, to be a recurring issue here. Orders are placed, payment is taken, there is limited or no follow-up to concerns, and products aren't being received. I will let you draw your own conclusions from that. I would say if you're planning on buying from a business, this business or others, check those reviews carefully. I really wish that I had. And make sure you use a payment method that has buyer protection. I wish I had ordered through PayPal, for example, and I would avoid having the process I'm now having to go through with my bank to get my money back. And I just wanted to say that, you know, as I say, I've never made this kind of video before. I've never needed to make this kind of video before. And I've been reviewing products online for 11 years. So yeah, I've just shared to raise awareness really and to document what my experience was, particularly given that some of these posts that are being referred to are no longer available on the internet. I want to make sure there's a place where it is. If you had a similar scenario, feel free to share, but please make sure you keep everything factual and respectful. This is not an invitation to reach out or be negative towards this business online. It's not an invitation to kind of be aggressive toward them, but if you want to share your own experience as I've done factually, please do. And thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate your time today. And yeah, fingers crossed, I will find myself somewhere at some point to do a breed study, or I may have to sort of pull together some different breeds myself. I'll see you guys again soon in my next video. Look after yourselves until then. Bye.